Jamaica's Prime Minister and opposition leader hold anti-crime talks, and in sport, Guyana and Denmark partner to develop football. I'm Ricardo Robertson. This is Caribbean in 10 for Friday, October 18th, 2019. I'll be back with the details after the break.
In Tobago, the name Martha Archer is almost synonymous with the word netball. The Bonaccord native has been involved in the sport for decades, starting as a player at age 9 before branching off into administration. Mrs. Archer served as the second vice president of the Americas Federation of Netball Associations regional body for 24 years. For her devotion and commitment to advancing the sport in Trinidad and Tobago,
entertainment is like craft. You know, you can craft a show. There are a lot of, right now, there are a lot of people call artists already entertainers. You know, it's like somebody has created, it's like it's not as bad as Believer Dilly, but you know, it's like they have created people.
Right.
And they say, that's an artist, a recording at this artist or that artist. But unless there are some people who have a thing.
Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips have agreed to denounce any connection between politics and gang violence. A statement from the private sector organization of Jamaica says the two leaders will also work together in violent affected communities. The statement followed a meeting yesterday between Holness and Phillips, who also agreed to meet with residents of the parish of St. James, which remains under a state of public emergency. Representatives of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, the main opposition People's National Party, and civil society groups attended the talks that are aimed at finding solutions to deal with the crime situation. The PNP had been calling for such a meeting, and Phillips said while he is pleased with this development, he hoped a consensus similar to what has been reached in relation to Jamaica's debt could be agreed through the stakeholder meeting. Last year, 1,287 people were murdered in Jamaica, and the figure for this year so far is 1,026. A call by the Office of the United Nations High Commission on Human Rights for the Bahamian government to halt the deportation of illegal Haitian nationals in the wake of Hurricane Dorian is not sitting well with officials in the CARICOM nation. The government deported more than 100 Haitians last week, less than 2 weeks after Prime Minister Hubert Minnis warned illegal migrants they should either leave the country voluntarily or be forced to leave. The UN agency had urged the government to refrain from deporting individuals who lack documentation without the individual assessments and due process guarantees to which they are entitled under international law. But Attorney General Carl Bethel told the Nassau Guardian it was unfortunate that international organizations sometimes apply standards to little countries like the Bahamas that they do not enforce in their own. He contended that the UN should not prejudge an issue based on what it had heard from some social activist group. That was an apparent reference to criticisms from the human rights groups Rights Bahamas, which slammed the Minnis administration earlier this month for its decision to deport undocumented Haitian migrants affected by the hurricane. The Trinidad and Tobago Registered Nurse Association is taking legal action against Health Minister Terence Deyalsingh. The move is in relation to a High Court ruling that has resulted in there being no nursing council. The association's attorney has already served a pre-action protocol letter on the minister. TV6's Nisha John Mohammed reports.
According to President of the TNT Registered Nurses Association, Edie Stewart, the nursing fraternity is in chaos, and he warns that the public may be at risk. On the morning edition, Mr. Stewart said it's all due to the actions of the health minister, who has appointed ousted council president David Murphy to the board of the Nursing Council. The last board filed a no-confidence motion against Murphy, who then filed a lawsuit against the board. Mr. Stewart says that the minister's action is a disrespect to nurses.
We don't want to ask him who he consulted. He certainly didn't consult
the association. He didn't consult TTAM, TTRNA, PNAT, Psychiatric Nursing Association. I would want him to say if he consulted the chief nursing officer, who is supposed to be advising him on who should be on that council.
Vice President of the association said the council is unable to perform its duties in registering nurses and administering nursing examinations until the issues with the elected members are resolved.
And stay with us, your Midday Sport is next. Welcome back. It's now time for sport. Guyana and Denmark are partnering to develop the sport of football in the South American Caribbean country. Newsroom's Akeem Green tells us more.
Last year's goal at qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, which will be held in Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America, the GFF have inked a partnership with Denmark, which should see the sport gain significantly in key areas. This disclosure was made by GFF President Wayne Ford at a partnership signing on Wednesday.
By the simple act of affixing our mark to a sheet of paper, today we have sowed the seeds of friendship that in time can produce the harvest of new and exciting opportunities for the long-term development of Guyana's football. Today we are able to establish the terms of our collaborative efforts in the coming years for the implementation of some of the key strategic objectives and programs. The objectives of our collaborations are in the area of coaching education, infrastructure development, competition management and professional football league development, women's football strategic development, grassroots football strategic development, youth football development, referees development, governance and administration.
To cricket now, Bermuda's national coach Herbie Bascom is confident Captain Dion Stovall and teammate Orund Bascom, who were injured during the 24-run defeat against Hong Kong, will be fit for Bermuda's ICC T20 World Cup qualifier opener against Papua New Guinea tomorrow. Now, Tuesday's warm-up game was stopped briefly after Stovall collided with Kamau Leverock on the boundary and was helped off the field clutching his ribs. Stovall missed the bulk of the qualifying tournament in Bermuda in August because of concussion protocol after being struck on the head on the second day of the match, the Cup match, Bermuda's premier domestic fixture. Tomorrow's qualifier will determine the lineup for next year's 16-team ICC T20 World Cup to be staged in Australia. West Indies are the defending champions. And that's Caribbean in 10. Join us again at 6:30 for Caribbean Newsline. Until then, good afternoon.